Good evening, folks. Thank you for coming back to another Tony Montana video. This is the second part of my history conversation about the evolution of the American Pitbull Terrier from before it was the American Pitbull Terrier to today. In the first video, I covered basically where the components that ended up becoming the American Pitbull Terrier that came from, which was England, Ireland, and Scotland were the main three countries that these dogs came from that created the American Pitbull Terrier. I have mentioned that in those individual countries, these pit dogs developed from and mostly from England. They developed from a mix of the different types, a couple of different types of terriers, and the Old English Bulldog. The Old English Bulldog was used to bring the strength and pop, while the Terrier came to make the dog and dog, because the Terriers are known to be dominant type of dogs, willing to fight other dogs type of thing, willing to attack other dogs. So they added those two different combinations of those animals to bring into existence the pit dog. Ireland, I mentioned that they did it differently, and they created a dog that was red nose for the most part. But obviously there were others that were black nose, but for the most part they were known for the red nose type of dogs that were also pit dogs. They came to the United States in the 1800s, I mentioned in the first video, and that they came and through selection, through best to best selection. Bozeman, cut it out. He's showing the little dominance here, my male, to the female. That's a female over there. So, like I was saying, they came in the 1800s, the time of Civil War, the Industrial Revolution. These different families, people from these countries that I mentioned, came to populate because of the added attraction of basically employment. They came from these countries to make a better life, and they brought their treasures, which were their pit dogs. And here they matched them, and they mixed them with other dogs. Eventually, mixed them with other dogs that they were successful at their job at the time, was fighting other dogs. So we're now in the early 1900s. So in the early 1900s, we have people still fighting these dogs. Obviously, they're fighting these dogs. They were not just a specific dog that looked like this or black dog. They were mixing. They were fighting dogs like the bull terriers. They were fighting dogs of all kinds that they felt were worthy of being in a pit. And at this time they were fighting in country or old country rules. That way, that means that the dog were released, and whoever quit at some point was the loser, and didn't have rules that I'll explain to you later on in this video. So in around this time, the early 1900s, you have families as the Tudors, the Colbys, and eventually, the Carvers. That these individuals, according to Don Mayfield, I will have to include Joe Corvino and Howard Heinzel, Jack later on, but Jack Kelly and Gary Hammond as people that were selling dogs to the common person. Okay, and I'll emphasize at this point. I'll emphasize Colby, because the Colby family is known for their for them to be one of the forefathers of all the bloodlines that we have today. And my part of the video, point of the video, is to address how we came to be so that we can make better dogs today for tomorrow. Now, so I'm going to concentrate. And this is nothing against the Colby family. The Colby family is a it's a dynasty of its own. I thank them for their help. But again, this is part of the history of the breed, so I'm gonna have to mention it. For example, John P. Colby. John P. Colby was one of the first breeders that started selling to the common man. Before that, the finest dogs were passed to family and close friends only. So J.P. Colby and all the people like Joe Corvin and Heinz, they started selling it to the regular Joe that wanted to get into the dogs, and that is something that fuel the strength of the breed, because other people, other points of view came into this fraternity that we call today the American People Fraternity, American People Terrier Fraternity. But at the time, they were newcomers. That they and again, thanks to the Colby family, I'm gonna mention them because they were one of the first that offered a stud service to the anyone, and again provided dogs from fighting lineage to anyone that didn't have a lineage in this in this culture. So I would say that John P. Colby was one of the main people that popularized the American People Terrier to the general public. And we also have to mention that John P. Colby was one of the persons that were pushing the AKC, the American Kennel Club, to accept the American People Terrier into their registry, into their organization, which they did eventually under the Staffordshire Terrier name rather than the American People Terrier name. And I will have to mention the J.P. Colby was a member of the Staffordshire Terrier Club at the time, which was pushing for the acceptance of these dogs. And eventually, J.P. Colby's wife was the president of the organization, which was also reviewing the animals' attributes, physical attributes, to be accepted into the AKC as this new breed, the Staffordshire breed. I will also mention that Colby's Primo, I repeat, Colby's Primo was used as the standard for this Staffordshire breed under the American Kennel Club. Okay, so also we want to mention that the evolution. This is where the Pitbull, American Pitbull Terrier, right at that time, split in physical and character and personality differences from these Colby lines, because the rules were eventually changed from the old country rules to what we know today, which include the scratching turn, the scratching, to continue, and so on and so forth. All the specifics that changed the breed forever, I would say, because the rules really, the rules for the breed, which were functional, really changed the breed because the rules changed. So you also have to think about, now we're going forward, because I see the time is going. We're almost at 10 minutes. I do have to mention that also some of the things that made the evolution of the dog were the magazines that were at the time in the 1930s local or pretty much tri-state at best, because dissemination of this article, dissemination of this paper were pretty limited because of transportation, because of obviously we're talking about the 1930s. In the 1930s, we also have to talk about that there was a depression time. In the depression time, a lot of obviously people were out of work, and because of they were out of work, they were very limited in what they did, but they still wanted some sort of enjoyment in their life. So dogfighting was something that was still within their reach to maintain a level of not being the lowest or in the society level. So there was some sort of pride in having pit dogs, and that at this point time were becoming the American Pitbull Terrier, that were also fearless, and were able to protect themselves and their families. So again, the change, one of the biggest change was that the as time passed went on, these magazines, this information of what was going on within the community, a sub-community of pit dog fighters, became wider. More people were involved, and more people were able to understand and hear of good dogs. More people were able to connect to people that had these good dogs. And this is obviously before the internet. Now we're going to the future, because again, I'm seeing the time. I'm going to be jumping in time. Now, in the beginning of the internet, you see people that were at that time. I'm talking about early 90s. They know that there were websites that were specific relating to dogs, dog fighting, and a lot of these individuals did connect. They had a connection that started there that was nationwide, and they were able to do businesses, do things that they weren't able to do before the internet. So the internet was a big reason why dog fighting became stronger than ever, I would say, in terms of availability to other people that would never would have been able to access a dog, or being able to do things with the dogs that obviously we know at this point is illegal and not something we want to do. But at the time, again, this different world in the 1990s, it's 30 years ago. It's a different mentality, but that is really why these dogs today are better than before in some sense, in some terms. I would say that in the last 15 years, it's been corrupted. Prior to that, there was a level of corruption because of gambling became a very dominant part of this thing. The more money you put into something like this, you want to make sure that the dog wins, even if the dog would not normally win. And that is really when the split happened between the people that are in it for the gambling and people that are in it for the breed. Really, this is where the split happened, and this is when many of the people that were for the breed and about the breed began to lose, or at least lose game, and then they became kicked out of the circle because of the monetary aspect of this game they were playing, and it no longer became about the breed. It no longer became about having the better dogs for the next generation. It became having the faster stopping dog, the quicker dunner. Well, let's call them that. They do it quick and let's go home. And the aspects of the breed that made it so beautiful. The you know, the stay there. Let's finish the task at hand no matter what. That part didn't, it became a something nowadays has become a something that is undesirable. They just want wham bam thank you man type of dogs, and this is not something that is part of the breed. Obviously, we want an overall a well-rounded dog, the dog that could do everything, but can stay if they find another dog that could do everything, that will stay there and that will find a way to win. This is a big difference in what is happening today versus what was thought of maybe a couple decades ago. We have to go back to a time that we respect the dogs. We don't respect the betting aspect. We should be about the dogs, not about betting money, not about doing things because of money. This is a different time. This is a different era. We can't be thinking like we thought in the past. We have to respect the past, but not commit the same mistakes that we did in the past. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it here. This is Tony Montana. I hope you appreciate this and do like the video. Or I'm just going to not obviously not do videos in English about this or yeah. So again, I go as I see the likes. So I hope you enjoy this video. This is Tony Montana. Until next time.